Hi guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can add adhesive vinyl to an acrylic blank to make this keychain. The items you're going to need is an acrylic keychain. This is for a 3-inch keychain. You can resize it, but for this project we're doing a 3-inch keychain. Transfer tape, various colors of adhesive vinyl, which I will link all the colors and where I found them on the blog. We've got a squeegee, some weeding tools, including this little pen right here. I have a little sunglass charm. If you wanted to find that, I can give you the link for that as well. Some rubbing alcohol. This is a lint-free cloth to clean off your blank. And we're going to use a water bottle with a little bit of soap in it for the wet method. Keychain hardware. This is a bead reamer for poking a hole in your keychain. Are the tools that you use to put your keychain hardware on. But that's it. Let's go ahead and get started so we can make this keychain. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring in our file and bring the SVG in. Upload and then click on the one that you want. Add it to your canvas. And it's going to come in at the correct size. This is sized for a 3-inch keychain. You obviously can resize it if you want to, but I designed this so that it would fit a 3-inch keychain. And I'm going to bring this in so we can see a little bit better here. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the back part of this right here. Let's see if I can arrow this over here. This is the back part of the keychain. This is actually the 3-inch keychain. I made this a little bit of an inset so that when you make it, it doesn't go exactly to the edge. It's going to give you a little bit of a ridge that if you want to seal it with UV resin or epoxy, that will help it grip to your keychain blank. But I do not need this, so I'm just going to go ahead and hide this. And another thing I want to show you, when I cut out my keychains, when I use vinyl to cut my keychains, this hole right here, I do not let my Cricut cut this hole. I actually hide this, and then when I'm all done, I use a bead reamer to cut this hole out, and I will show you that when we get to that step, but I just want to show you that I'm going to ungroup this, and I'm going to click on this blue one here, this top one, and I'm going to go to my contour and I'm going to hide that hole because I do not want it there. When you do keychains, if you cut the hole out ahead of time, it can sometimes be harder to line it up with the blank that you have. You may not have the same blank that you thought you did or wherever you got the file from. So I don't leave my hole in. It just makes things a heck of a lot easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to find this Life is Better at the Beach. Now you can change the colors of that if you want to. If you see right in here, these are all on different lines, but I'm going to go ahead and attach that so that it cuts all together. If I didn't attach it, I will show you when we go over here. If I did not attach it, see how the words are all over the place? So I want to attach it so that it cuts together. All right, now let's move that off of there. And I'm going to make things easy for myself because my brain does not retain information for very long. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move these off of here. I want to go through and I'm going to number all of these because I'm going to put this on the back of the blank. So I need to remember what order that they go in. Now I can obviously look at it and tell, but to make things go quicker and it's just easier this way, I'm going to go ahead and number these. So I'm going to bring up my text box and I'm actually just going to type in the number 1. And then I'm going to just shrink this down a little bit. And then I'm going to duplicate this. So this is going to go here. This is going to be a 2, 3, oops, 4. You can kind of see my process here, and 5. I think I'm actually probably going to make these just a little bit smaller too. And I'm going to put them across from the color that they are, which color that it goes with. So this is all ungrouped. I'm going to click this blue, hold my shift button and click the 1, and I'm going to attach this. So now when this cuts, this 1 is going to cut with this, and I can remember that this is the top one. And I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm all about doing little tips so that my brain doesn't have to work very hard. Okay, so this is all ready to cut now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over to make it. I was having a little issues earlier with Design Space trying to move everything to one mat. So I will show you the workaround if we get to that point and I have that issue again. But this is going to be cut from white. So if you go through, you can see all your different mats here, the different colors that you need. But to speed up the process, I like to put all my vinyl on one mat if I can. But like I said, I was having issues earlier, so we'll see what we can move. So this is going to be cut here, and you want to make sure that when you go to put your vinyl on your mat that you're putting it in the correct place. So I like to, as I move things around, have my mat in front of me and my pieces of vinyl that I need, and then lay them down as I move them from mat to mat so that I don't mess up. Okay, so just for demonstrations here, I'm just going to show you what I mean by moving things if you don't know how to do that. Now see, this one is not giving me the option. I don't know if it's because they're small, but I'm going to go ahead, and my workaround is going to be, I'm just going to go ahead and move them anyway, and remember that my vinyl needs to go there. So that way I don't have to load a whole nother mat, but my black is already on my mat, so that when I unload the first mat, I can unload it and then put it right back in, and then it'll cut because the vinyl is already there. I hope that makes sense. Again, I'll show you as we go here. So let's go to this. I'm going to move this over here. The 3 dots means that I'm going to be able to move it. But of course this one doesn't have it. I'm not sure if, like I said, if it's because it's too small, but let's go ahead and move object, move it on the white one. Okay, so then that other piece is already right here. So I know that I'm going to have a red piece of vinyl here. So that's going to cut, and then when I get done cutting this mat, I'm going to unload it. You want to make sure that you unload it, because if you just hit the cut button again, it's going to go right back and cut exactly what it just had. So you want to unload it to make the machine think that you're about to change mats. But then we're going to load it back in again so that it cuts that piece. Okay, so there's the red. And this here, I'm going to move down here. Click this, move object, move it to the white one. All right, I'm just going to keep going all the way down. And then try and remember where my other pieces are so they don't land on top of each other. Actually, I'm going to turn that, because that's kind of wasting a whole lot of space there. That one, I already got this one. Okay, let's move this over here. Okay, and I'm just going to go through and finish doing this. Remember that I'm going to put it underneath the 3 because for whatever reason, of course, I can't move this one. I'm not sure why. Yeah, this one either. This is kind of really annoying. I like moving all my pieces. But that's going to be under the 7. Design Space wants to be difficult. We're going to do a workaround. Okay, this one I can move, so let's move this one. Let's see how it looks. See, I've already forgot where the other ones were. Let's move him over here. I'm going to do this. Just got to remember the 8, the 3, and the 23. Move object. Okay, so I want to make sure that there's nothing there. And I'll move this one over here. 8 and 7. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this. When you get ready to cut your vinyl, the setting that I like to use is called wax paper. This helps with, for me, on my machine, now all machines are different. This is not a vinyl setting, this is an optional setting. I'll show you how you would find it. You go to Browse All Materials, and you can scroll through here and see all the different settings that there are. But I am actually going to be using, I'm going to type it in here at the top. Wax paper, and that's going to come up, and it is bookmarked, so that's why it's on my screen. But that's the setting that I like to use for when I'm cutting vinyl. That helps, for whatever reason, works better with my machine. Some people like to use the washi paper setting. I like wax paper, so I click wax paper, and I also set this to more, and then I go ahead and I cut my vinyl. All right, I've gone ahead and put all my different colors on my one mat here. And you want to make sure that you take it with your brayer and you want to push it down with your brayer so that it adheres to your mat better. This will help with all your little delicate cuts so that your machine will cut better. Okay, another thing that helps when you are cutting small pieces of vinyl, you want to make sure that you've got a good blade in here. If you cut paper with your machine, make sure that you switch it out so you have a different blade for your vinyl. So your vinyl or your blade is sharper. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to load this. I have my machine set to custom. I am using the wax paper setting with more pressure. And like I showed you, or I explained in the video, we're going to let this go ahead and cut everything that was on the white mat. And then when that's done, I'm going to unload it and I'm going to reload my mat so that it goes to the next color, even though we're not changing mats. Okay, I'm going to unload it. And now looking at my screen, it's going to cut the black. So I'm going to go ahead and load this again. Unload. And now it's going to cut red. There's already one part of the red cut, so now this is going to cut the other part that I couldn't move. And now we're done. That's it. So let's go put everything together. Oh, before we go do that, you push this back, and I'm going to show you when you go to take your vinyl off of your mat, you want to make sure that you turn it over and pull this off. Now when I take my vinyl off, I make sure that I leave it just the way that I'm taking it off, and I will show you why I do that. Now, like I mentioned, I like to do things, sorry, it's pulling everything up here. I like to do things that are easy for my brain, so I don't have to think as much. I'm still taking this off here. Keep taking these off. So I'm all about tips and tricks. So what I do now that I have this off, I'm going to turn these over. And I go through with my scissors and I make sure that I'm not cutting anything that's there, that's on the vinyl. But I put a little slit right at the top of each one of the pieces. That way I know when I go to set this up, you probably can't see this, but this is the one that has part of the sunglasses. I know that this is the way it's supposed to go up. So I don't have to sit there and worry trying to figure out which way it goes. Okay, so I will do that with all of my pieces. All right, I'll finish this up and I will meet you over there and we're going to go ahead and put it all together. Okay, this is one that I finished already, so this is what we're going to do. And you can see this is on the back. Okay. What I like to do when I'm making my projects is I want to make sure that I have my picture on my screen so I can see what it looks like. So I always want to have something to refer back to see where something goes. So I'm going to go ahead and weed this, and I have found when doing vinyl with little pieces, it is best to not wait too long to have your vinyl sit around. You want to go ahead and weed it. For whatever reason, it makes the weeding process much easier. Okay, I always want to remember to go slow. Just lost a piece already. It happens. We can put it back. I'm going to leave that goof in here. I'm not going to edit it out because I want you guys to see that If you make a mistake, there's always ways to go back and fix it. Okay, make sure you're going slow. Got another piece right here. This is my pen. I'm going to go through. You can see on the backing here, you can actually see where the letter cut, but you can just eyeball it. See what looks good for you. Okay, I'm going to go through and pull up my centerpieces here. Okay, now that we have everything weeded, I'm going to get my blank ready. Now, this one I did on a clear 3-inch blank, and of course I don't have another one, so I'm going to do this one on, this is a frosted 3-inch blank. So I've already taken the back part off. I'm going to go ahead and take this part off here. Okay, and I'm going to clean both sides with some rubbing alcohol. That just helps your vinyl to stick a little better, to make sure that there's no little particles on your blank, because any particles that you have on your blank, it's going to show underneath your vinyl. So we want to go ahead and let that dry. If you're going to seal it with UV resin, you can go ahead and sand it a little bit with an emery board if you want to. I don't plan on sealing mine, but I like to sand them if I'm going to seal it. That way that the UV resin or the epoxy or whatever you're using has something to adhere to. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and prop this up a little second here and let that dry. Okay, so now we are going to assemble the back part. You can see that I have everything, all the numbers here, and I'm going to use the wet method to put this vinyl on, and I'm also going to be using parchment paper. Cut this down just a little bit. Actually, you can just rip it. And I have transfer tape. So this one has a frosted side and a clear side, and like I said, I'm going to put the colors on the frosted side. So I'm going to stand up for this. This is easier to approach if you're looking at it. So I'm going to put this piece on first, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put my transfer tape on it. Hit it with my squeegee. I don't need that number 1, obviously. Pick that up, and I'm going to put something behind this so I can see a little bit better. See right here. This is the wet method. This is just a little bit of water with just a drop of dish soap in here. There's not very much water in here, but you just want to get it so that when you squirt it on your hand, it feels a little bit soapy, a little bit slippery. You don't want too much. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this. And I'm also going to put some on the back of my vinyl. And what this does is this allows you to move your vinyl around so that it doesn't stick automatically. Because you know, if you've used adhesive vinyl, trying to put it on something, as soon as you touch it, it's going to stick. So this gives us the ability to move things around. And like I said, I did not cut my hole out. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up here. This is very difficult to see. I guess I should have left that back on. Let's see if I do it this way. It's a little better. Okay, and you can lift it up. You don't want to go all the way to the edge. Remember, we talked about having a little bit of a lip right there. But you can move this around if you need to. Just remember that you want this to be at the top, because that's going to be the top of your keychain. Okay, Try to have it even on both sides. Okay. I'm going to take my squeegee and I'm going to push all that water out. And then roll this back. You might have to help your vinyl to stick to your blank here. This will help so you don't have bubbles and so that you can continue to move your vinyl. Okay, so there's the first piece. And we're going to go for number 2. You know what, let me get a different piece because this one's wet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this wet again, just so I have the ability to move it around if I need to. You don't want too much. Okay, and you can see through the back to see if you need to keep moving it. Okay, that looks good. Push your water out. Hold it down and then roll your transfer tape back. You don't want to pull it up because that's going to cause bubbles. So you just want to roll and then pull it off. And then smooth that out. See? There's no bubbles. All right, let's go on to the next one. Now, as this dries, your vinyl will stay down. It looks like it's pulling up right now, but that's just because it's got a little bit of dampness to it, but it will dry and it will stick. All right, I'm not going to put the hole in there yet, but I'm going to flip this over and you can see how it looks. There's no bubbles. It's laying flat. Okay, and then this side, I'm actually going to hit this with this wipe again because I've got my fingerprints all over it. And let that sit for a minute and dry. Now I'm going to put my sun on first, I believe. Actually, I'm just going to let that sit over to the side here. Let's go ahead and put this umbrella together. Right, I am going to use parchment paper for this. Alright, go ahead and pick up the top part of the umbrella. And get that lined up. Push the sticky part to the paper underneath, and then pull your parchment paper out and lay that down. Alright, bring that up. And I'll take a look at, I can look at this to see where the eye needs to line up. But if you don't have a project done already, you can bring your phone up. If you have a tablet, put it on your computer. Move this so it's not curled so much. Now, careful you don't want to hit your table. So I got my eye right in the center, and that's off just a little bit. So now I'm going to put this on, because this is cut at an angle, and you can kind of see where the word beach goes. Okay, and go slow pulling it up. Okay, put our top on here so you can see where the parts of the umbrella, where they come down. Okay. All right, let's get our little sun on here. So I do it the right way, huh? Be careful not to cover up your hole there. All right, and let's get our sunglasses assembled. Put my highlights on. And I'm going to pick up this whole thing so I can put the back on. And then put your glasses on. Alright, and I'll show you how to get that hole out of the back there. So you want to feel where it's at. Take your bead reamer, poke it through, and then there's like a file on the side. You want to push down and file off the edges. Okay, I'm going to clean up my mess and I'll show you how to put the hardware on. Okay, so we're going to put our hardware on, and we have our jump ring here. When you have jump rings, you don't want to pull them apart, you want to twist them. Okay. And you go ahead and put this on first if you want. Now obviously if you were going to use UV resin or epoxy, if you were going to seal this, you would want to seal that before you put your hardware on. But since I'm not doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how we put this on here. Okay, then same thing. You want to take this and you want to twist it back so that it is back together. Now if you want to put a charm on it, these cute little sunglass charms I found here. Same thing, you would twist your jump ring open. And then depending on what side you want to put it on. Some people like to put them on here. I don't particularly like them here because they hit the keychain. So I usually do about halfway up. But that's personal preference, which wherever you like to have it. And then you close it. And now you're done. Now you got a keychain. And that's it for this week's project, guys. You can find the free keychain download in the freebie library. It is design number 151, along with a list of supplies that I used and links to where you can find them. If you make the project, don't forget to come on over to the Facebook group and show it off, because you know I love seeing what you guys make. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you. Have a great day.